I have mixed feelings about Earth Day. I hate it, and I also love it. You can hear my thoughts in depth about why I hate Earth Day, even though I'm an environmentalist, up here. But in short, it's a month that's full of greenwashing, a month of false promises, a month of fake environmentalism. It's a little cheesy, but we need to treat every day like Earth Day. I'm here for the restoration, the conservation, the trash cleanups, the ocean cleanups, the tree planting, and so much more. But why do we only do it on one day a year? Why don't we conserve the Earth every day? I just think it's a really great opportunity to greenwash, and if you know anything about Earth Month, it is the month for greenwashing, and if you want to know how to spot greenwashing for yourself, you can watch last week's video up here. You can also download my free guide to spotting greenwashing so you can always have it handy on your phone. That being said, I love all the different ways we can get involved in Earth Month and on Earth Day every single year. And I know that if you're watching this video, you're probably treating every day like Earth Day, so I don't hold anything against you. And with that being said, I have 23 ways for you to celebrate Earth Day in 2023. If you prefer to read along, you can check out the blog post associated with this video down below. The first one, and I think I talk about this every year, is to simply pick up trash. You don't even have to join a big cleanup or start a big cleanup. You can just walk around your neighborhood with a trash bag and pick up trash. Last year, I tried picking up 22 pieces of trash every single day for Earth Month, and that proved to be too easy, unfortunately. I had to up that number to 100 pieces of trash every day, and even then, it was almost always over 200 pieces of trash every day, and you can watch my thoughts about that up here. It was a lot of work. It was very disheartening to see that much trash, but it was a great way for me to get out and get involved for the entire month of Earth Month. So I know we're about a week into Earth Month at this point, but if you want to start that sort of challenge, you can do that now. But simply, you can just get out on Earth Day, take a bag with you while you're walking your dog, taking your kids to the park, and pick up trash that way. It doesn't have to be something big. But number two, if you do want to go big, you can host a community cleanup. Simply just take your trash picking and make it a group event. You could do this with friends, with family, with colleagues, people you work with people you go to school with, or it could be strangers. If you have like a zero waste page you're a part of for your city, like for example, mine is Zero Waste Las Vegas. I could just advertise on there, be like, hey everybody, I'm hosting a cleanup. We're gonna meet at this location. Bring a bag, bring some gloves, bring some water. Let's pick up trash together for Earth Day. But if you're not a planner, that might give you a little bit of anxiety. You could just simply, number three, join an already existing community cleanup. I guarantee you there's gonna be one on Earth Day, no matter where you live. Unless you're like in the literal middle of nowhere, sorry about your luck, but if you do live in a bigger, more populated area, there's probably already a cleanup for you. In my area, there are tons of cleanups with other organizations. If you're in Las Vegas, I'll list a few of them. Friends of Nevada Wilderness, Friends of Sloan Canyon, Friends of something Pittman? Friends of Pittman Wash, Get Outdoors Nevada. Those are the only ones coming to mind. You can look up all of those. If they're hosting cleanups this year, they will be probably all around the city, up in the mountains. This is just a great way to get outside, get involved with your community, make friends who also love to volunteer, but this takes all the headache, all the pressure off of you of actually hosting, starting, organizing an event. You can just simply show up to one that someone's already done all that work for. And bonus tips for all of these events is to recycle stuff that you find that's clean and not really dirty, bring reusable gloves, and bring your reusable water bottle to reduce the amount of litter that could potentially be created by using single-use items. Number four, finally away from the trash cleanups, is to start a garden. What a perfect day to get outside and connect with the earth, not to mention April is the perfect planting season for most of the northern hemisphere. This could simply just be a small herb garden in your windowsill. It could be a full-scale garden. It could be in between, like a raised garden bed, anything that works for you and your situation. People garden here in Las Vegas, but two things. One, I'm moving. By the time you see this video, I'm not even gonna be in Las Vegas. I also never started because it's very difficult to garden here and I didn't want that to be my first experience gardening. I feel like I would have gotten frustrated, would have used a lot of water, which I don't like using. So what I do, very, very small scale, I just grow green onions in my windowsill. I also had a rosemary bush at one point and some cat grass. So like I grew a few things in pots that were just sitting on my patio, but even just growing green onions in your windowsill, what a great way to reconnect with the plants. Or if you're not into gardening, all that work and fertilizing and weeding and all that stuff, number five is to plant some pollinator-friendly plants and take care of our pollinators this Earth Day. This is a much better way that you can still connect with the earth and grow some plants and nurture your local wildlife without having to spend a ton of time trying to make sure that your tomatoes grow properly. Flowers really don't require that much maintenance. A few tips here: make sure they are local to your area, make sure they're not invasive, non-native plants, and make sure that they're pollinator friendly. You don't want to start an invasive species outbreak or plant something that will harm the local wildlife. And don't forget, pollinators need water too. There are a few solutions you can use. Definitely don't use like a bird bath type thing because things like bees and wasps and butterflies will probably drown. they need something like you could fill a bird bath with pebbles or stones so that way they can like stand on the rocks and get a drink. I also have this pollinator friendly water bucket that the burlap strings go into the bucket, and it's essentially like sucking nectar out of these. It would be the same as a bee sucking nectar out of a flower. They're sucking water out of these burlap straps. I got this from Branching Together. It is made from upcycled buckets, which is super cool, keeping these buckets out of the landfill if you want to check them out for a super simple pollinator waterer. Number 6 is to get more involved at a governmental level, and that is to start writing letters to your government. You could write a letter every single day of Earth Month. You could write one on Earth Day or a couple. But I also encourage you to make this a habit and just do this all year long. Imagine if we all wrote a letter to our government on Earth Day and we wrote thousands or millions, maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands of letters to our government on Earth Day. Just how much bombardment that would be. And hopefully they will finally listen to us. You could write to them about anything that you're passionate about. It could be demanding that they finally take action on climate change, about clean water, about oil drilling, about pollution, about all these toxic train derailments that have been happening. Just pick whatever you're passionate about and write to the government about that. And number 7, similar to that one, is to write to some wasteful companies, demanding that they take action as well. Because as important as it is for our government to make policy change, it's also important for the companies to make internal changes like using less plastic, using green energy, and so forth. Let the wasteful companies know what you want to see them doing better. Especially the ones who are greenwashing all Earth Month. Definitely call them out for their greenwashing. And let the eco brands know that you love what they're doing. I have a ton of writing resources now. Maybe not a ton. I think it's just 3. But I have a video on effective letter writing, like all my tips for writing an effective, meaningful letter that will actually get across to people. Number 2 is some examples that I wrote in 2021, as well as some examples that I received and how I handled those crazy responses. And number 3 is actually how to find your lawmakers if you're in the United States. Number 8, one of my favorite things to do is conserve water. I've always been pretty water anxious, but especially since I moved to the desert, I hate when people waste water. Especially here, because we're about to run out of water. And if you want to learn more about how the Southwest is going to run out of water soon, and how it's going to affect everyone in the US at least, you can check out this video up here, and I made a part 2 to that that's linked down below. But in short, it doesn't matter where you live. Everyone needs to be conserving water. It is a precious resource that is vital to life. And this is something that you can do every single day, but take Earth Day as a day to learn about water conservation. I have a full video with over 50 ways to conserve water that you can check out up here. But in short, here are a few of my favorite ways to conserve water. I like to catch gray water in general, which can be a little gross, but something a little less gross is just catching water as your shower heats up and using that water to water your plants or flush the toilet. You can reuse water that was used to cook vegetables, cook pasta, to wash rice. Put that on your plants because not only is this conserving water, but it's also really nutritious for your plants. Next is to use what you have and take what you need. For example, when you're at a restaurant and you still have half a glass of water and your meal's basically done, and the waiter comes around with their pitcher of water, don't ask for a refill if you're not going to finish your entire glass. And another simple one is to not run the water between washing dishes, between brushing your teeth, between shaving. Turn off the water, turn it back on when you need to rinse, and conserve that way. Similar to that is to learn how to conserve energy. Energy conservation is a great way to reduce your own fossil fuel usage. This and the water conservation will also save you some money. So that's a win for the planet and a win for you. These are also great things that you can do all year long, but take Earth Day to learn about energy conservation. Again, I have a full video on energy conservation that you can check out up here. But here are my top energy conservation tips. Simply remember to turn off the lights when you leave a room. It really is that simple, but especially outdoor lights. I used to be really bad about keeping outdoor lights on like all day long, so just make it a habit of turning them off. Next is to just utilize the sun throughout the day. Open your blinds, open your windows, and turn off the lights and conserve that way. When it's not a super hot or super cold time of the year, you could turn off the heat and AC while you're at work or while you're at school to conserve energy that way. And another way to conserve energy that I don't think people associate with conserving energy is conserving fuel. So you can carpool, walk, bike to work, to school, to run your errands, to reduce your reliance on big oil. Number 10 is to learn a new way to reduce food waste. This could be an entire post on its own on different ways to reduce food waste and also utilize food waste. So if you want to post about that, let me know. I did just make a recent one on why food waste is so bad and why preventing it is so important that you can check out down below. I don't think I have any more cards left. But there are seemingly endless ways to reuse food waste, prevent food waste, and use food waste in your recipes. But in short, plan your grocery trips, plan your meals, make sure you eat what you already have, store food properly so that it lasts longer, and learn how to utilize food scraps. I love to make things like veggie broth from the ends of veggies. I love to reuse brown bananas in banana bread or banana brownies or smoothies or dog treats. Denahi loves to eat broccoli stems and cauliflower leaves. Denahi's my dog, by the way. So I turn a lot of food waste into supplements for his kibble. You could also add so many things like kale stems, carrot tops, broccoli stems to soups, to stir fries. They're still edible. You just have to prepare them a little differently. Number 11 is to celebrate by shopping locally this Earth Day. Even if it's not a super eco-friendly brand, supporting the local economy is something that's really great for the earth by reducing shipping and not giving your money to wasteful billionaire corporations. So instead of giving your money to a big box store that's just gonna keep polluting, shop small instead. You could go to a farmer's market or a local cafe, a mom and pop shop for lunch. You could go to a local craft store, a local artisan store, a craft show, and even support your favorite online artists and content creators. And even likes, comments, and shares help as well. You don't even have to buy anything from them. Be sure to shout out your favorite small brands down below. Here are some of mine: Earth Blooms, Amano Wood, Aloha Clay, Good Feeling Tattoo, and B&I Metal Designs. They will all be linked down below if you want to check them out. And I have so many more small brands. Should I make a post? Maybe not like a YouTube video, but a blog post shouting out all my favorite small brands? I think I'm gonna work on it. If you're interested in that, let me know and I can expedite it. Number 12 is to get educated this Earth Day by reading an eco book or watching an eco documentary, checking out a new podcast this Earth Day. This could also be a fun family event if you have kids. You could put on a fun documentary or even watch an eco-themed children's movie like WALL-E or The Lorax. I have a list of books, documentaries, podcasts, and other content creators you should check out this Earth Month on my website, which will be linked down below. Bonus tip here is to support your local library instead of like driving to Barnes & Noble and borrow a book instead. This is great because libraries are just awesome in general and way less wasteful and will also save you a ton of money. Libraries are free. Number 13, if you want to get outside this Earth Day, take your kids or your dog or yourself to the park or on a hike. What a perfect way to spend Earth Day, in my humble opinion, if you live somewhere where it's not terribly cold or terribly hot this time of year. Now don't worry, if you live in the city, a walk around the block does count as getting outside. But you could also drive a little ways or take public transportation a little ways to a local city park, or even to something bigger like a state park or a national park if they're not too far away. Or if they are far away, then you can plan a whole weekend adventure. I'm quite confident Earth Day falls on a Saturday this year, so you can make a whole weekend out of it. But even a stroll to the coffee shop or the library counts as getting outside as well. You can admire the city life, admire the local wildlife, and you can learn more about responsibly recreating zero waste outside with Leave No Trace in this video. Again, I probably don't have cards. You can check out my Leave No Trace video down below. And while you're at it, learn about the local wildlife, the local plants and animals in your area this Earth Day. One of my big goals when I was moving to Las Vegas was connecting with the earth. And I was like, how am I gonna do that? I'm moving to a city, one of the biggest cities in the country. But I did it. I can name so many plants now that I couldn't even picture that I would know before. And in doing so, I got really obsessed with trees, and now I have a cone collection. I love trees. I can name so many trees now, which it just makes me so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know so much. And when I go out, I'm like, wow, that's a ponderosa pine. Wow, that's a Douglas fir. Or maybe more local plants like, oh, that's a Joshua tree and that's an agave. I used to be so amazed at people on the internet who would forage or even just go out and ID plants and be like, how do they know that? If you commit it to memory, it's really easy to pick up on it. Definitely start small, like learn one plant at a time. And I don't know if true plant people will advocate for this, but I love plant ID apps. It is a great place to start. I'm not saying like use this for foraging because that could be dangerous, but if you're just like, what's this tree called? The app can really help, and then you can cross-check it on Google. You can just be like, hey, what does a ponderosa pine look like? If that's what your app says it is, and be like, oh, that actually looks a lot like what I'm looking at right now. This must be a ponderosa pine. This just makes me feel so much more connected to the earth, and I notice so many more plants around me now, and you can do the same with animals if you're more into animals. Number 15, try going car-free for the day. Challenge yourself if you're able to give up using a car. You could do this by walking, biking, taking public transportation, carpooling. Carpooling might be a bit of a loophole, but I think it counts. You could walk to get groceries, you could bike to the cafe, you could carpool to your classes. Or you could just simply spend the day at home, go out on your porch, read a book, watch an eco documentary. You don't have to go anywhere to celebrate Earth Day. You can celebrate in your own home. But if you can't give up your car, don't worry, I have a little bit of another loophole for you, and that is to watch this video. Here's what it looks like. It's linked down below on 10 ways that you can give up big oil or boycott big oil without having to give up your car. Because for me, at least right now as I'm filming this in Las Vegas, I need a car to get to work. I can't give up a car. So this is great for people like us. Number 16, if you're busy, you don't have time to donate your time and energy, donate your money instead. And I'm not saying donate like your whole life savings. Donating $5, $10, $20 still can make a big difference. With my resources on my website, I do have a list of charities and GoFundMes that I support personally. If you don't know where to begin, I recommend you starting with that list, or you can just Google stuff that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about Conservation, protecting endangered species, ocean cleanups, tree planting. Just simply Google that, do some cross-checking, make sure that it's a valid, legitimate organization, and you can start there. Number 17, I probably should have put this at number 1, honestly. That is to learn whose land you're living on and learn more about land back. If you don't know whose land you're residing on, if you lived in a colonized part of the world, which is most of the world at this point, you should, and you should be able to recall that information quickly off the top of your head. For example, if you live in Las Vegas, you are on Nuuvi land. That's what they call themselves. We often refer to them as Paiute. And this is the bare minimum. The bare minimum is recognizing whose land you're on and respecting them and acknowledging that you live on stolen land. But a further effort you can take is to support land back. I'm gonna give a brief explanation. I am no expert. If you want more information, I can probably do a whole video on land back. But in short, it's not saying that we need to give the entire United States back to Native people. What this means is allowing them to be a bigger voice in conservation efforts, letting them go back to their historical cultural lands like the Grand Canyon and Death Valley. National parks are very often sacred cultural sites for these peoples, and we just kick them off and preserve it. And like, it's great that we're conserving it, but like, why don't we still let them live on their lands and help them conserve? Anyway, they've been stewarding these lands for thousands and thousands of years. They know what they're doing. We should be allowing them to help and allowing them to have a major say in what we do with their land. You can also support Indigenous peoples on social media. You can buy their books, you can buy their art, you can support their GoFundMe efforts. Number 18 is to start composting this Earth Day. Again, I already mentioned food waste and how bad food waste is. Definitely check out my full food waste video. But reducing the food waste that we send to the landfill is one of the best things we can do as individuals for the planet, and also one of the easiest. Even if you live in an apartment, even if you don't think you have access to compost, you can still find a way to compost. And I talk about it in my composting video, but in short, you can do indoor composting. You can use things like the Lomi, which is not budget friendly, just a disclaimer there. And you can also use apps like Share Waste to find someone in your area who can compost for you. You just give them your fruit scraps. But in short, food waste in a landfill equals methane. Methane is 80 times more potent than CO2, and typically we're all just worried about CO2, when in reality, methane is so much worse, so reducing what we send to the landfill reduces methane. Not to mention, composting also yields a free fertilizer for your plants if you also start an Earth Day garden. Number 19, if you're looking to get really involved, is to attend a rally or a march. Usually there are several of these in major cities throughout the world, but especially throughout the US. For example, I would look up Earth Day Rally, Las Vegas, and see what I could find in my area, but you can plug in whatever city, whatever region you're from, or whatever city's closest to you. And remember your water, your sunscreen, and your upcycled signs on some upcycled cardboard. Number 20, this one's a little more fun, and that is to throw an eco party, throw an Earth Day party. You can use reusables instead of disposables. You can make plant-based, homemade, locally bought food. You can thrift costumes and decor. You can play games you already have. You can send leftovers home with your guests. So not only is this a great way to, and a great excuse to throw a party, but a great way to lead by example and show your friends how you can still have parties and be eco-friendly. You can still have fun and be eco-friendly. And also provide them with a few tips on how to be eco-friendly by doing all of these things. Number 21 is to join or start your city's no-buy group or zero waste Facebook page. In other words, join or build a community. Chances are if you live in a big city, one already exists. For example, we're moving to Spokane. I'm already gonna be there by the time this video is out, which is wild. So before I even moved there, I was like, okay, zero waste Spokane on Facebook, no buy Spokane, and I already found groups. If you're from a smaller area, it might not exist. You might be the first one to start it. But regardless, this is a great place to swap ideas, inspire other people, meet people that are like-minded, and then no-buy groups are a great way to get rid of stuff sustainably and also find stuff for your own life for free that require no new resources. I find it really boosts morale in the environmental community, especially when people are dealing with climate anxiety. And it's also really hard to find friends who are like-minded, so this is a great place to do that too. But you could also start an in-person community with tip number 22, and that is to start an eco club at your office, at your school, wherever it may be. Maybe your school already has an eco club. You can just join it. If not, you can start one, and yes, students, you can start one too, but teachers, you might have a little more pull. So if you're a teacher, this would be a great thing for you to start this Earth Month. You could do school cleanups, you could host a school newsletter or speak at school rallies, or what do you call them? Pep rallies? Yeah. Assemblies? The options are endless, get creative, but what it all comes down to is joining and being in a like-minded community. And you want to learn more about living zero waste at school, I have a few of those videos that will be linked down below. And number 23 is to educate and inspire others this Earth Day and every day of the year. This could be family, friends, internet friends, people you work with, people you go to school with, your neighbors. Leading by example works great. So like by me going out with my friends to get coffee and bringing my coffee cup, they're like, oh, hey, that's really easy to just use your own cup. They also offer a discount. So what a great incentive for people to bring their own cup. You can show them how living an eco-friendly life is easy. It can save you money. It can save you time. And also just having a clean future for everyone is such a great thing. You could also offer them resources like books and documentaries to watch, content creators to follow, and so forth. Happy Earth Month. I'm so glad you're here to celebrate with me. If you want more ways to celebrate Earth Day, I have some videos on that from the past. I have a history of Earth Day that will be linked down below as well. And again, don't forget to check out last week's video on how to spot greenwashing, because greenwashing really does run rampant during Earth Month. And we don't want to give these companies our money if they're not actually eco-friendly. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate your time, and if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a like. Let me know how you're celebrating Earth Day down below, and don't forget to share this with others so that we can all celebrate sustainably this year. I will see you in next week's video, and until then, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. If you would rather read along or you can only read, you can watch the video down below. No. Because but I also encourage you to just make this a habit and do this all year. You could also offer them resources. You could also offer them